Welcome to the Course in Miracles. Let's see if we can bring our centeredness to joining with each other that is this truth. Welcome to Facebook Live, Course in Miracles. And our mighty companions are coming in online. Let's ask God to come in today. It's time for us to let Spirit take over in our lives. We're not going to be able to figure out how to do it all on our own. We got to let go of that idea. Your direction gives me peace. Your direction gives me peace. This holy instant would I give to you, Holy Spirit. Be you in charge. What's up, mighty companions? It's good to have you here today. It's good to get a chance to go into the Course in Miracles today. I want to thank those that are on Facebook Live for showing up. Susan, CJ, Kathy, Janet, John, May, and everybody else that's coming in and sending the hearts out. It's good to have an opportunity to focus in on giving it up, surrendering it, getting me out of the way so I can learn how to let God handle everything in my life. This week I made a brand new commitment to myself to surrender my life to God, to the God of love. That I'm no longer studying the truth so that I can get more information about how I can handle things better on my own. And so when I go through shifts of consciousness in the 30-something years that I've done this, every time I go through a shift of consciousness, my class goes through a shift too. So what that usually means is people who have been coming don't come anymore. People who are making the change with me, they show up, and then a whole other group of people start filtering in again, and then I go through that cycle again. So it's not surprising to me at all that when I make a deeper commitment, then there's a shift in who's here today. If you change on the inside, the outside's going to change. If your outside is never changing, your inside has not changed. And so so if you're finding that your life is constantly full right now of constant changes of some form or another, to the point that you're like going, what the hell is going on? Then you are going through rapid internal shifts. So Spirit told me today that what I needed to talk about was a lesson that is a very powerful lesson, but it also is a lesson that really describes the changes that you go through when you're making a commitment to yourself to really study the course and to use the course. And it's lesson 95 in the workbook. It's lesson 95, and it's on page 166 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles. I know there are many, the course is becoming a little bit like the Bible. There are many different versions of the course now, and but the most versions of the course that are in the hands of course students is the Foundation for Inner Peace version. So that's the version that I'm going to be using because it still has everything the rest of the versions have, but there's just more in those other versions. But that doesn't mean what's in this version isn't in them. So, so I'm going to do I am one self united with my Creator. And I'm going to give you some tips as I go through this. I'm going to give you, after 37 years of being obsessed with the course, you can open the door all the way. It's just, that would even be better than just having a little bit of it. Yeah, there you go. No problem, no problem. I'm glad you're here. Glad to be here. Yeah. And so I'm going to get a lot more what I call hardcore with the course. And by hardcore, I simply mean that I'm going to, as much as I can, get my own ego out of the way to let the course speak for itself through me, even if it says things that I have resistance to or that you may have resistance to. Because we've been told with the Course in Miracles that in the workbook it says you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not even welcome the ideas. That's what the swamp cooler is on. It's just your own chakras are on fire. That's why it's it's 20 degrees. Y'all just hot. Y'all just on fire. That's what, especially you.
You're
look
hot,
at you. Thank you for your correct perception. I can tell when people seeing me correctly. That's exactly what. So I appreciate that you all came along into this new level of consciousness with me. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's why I go back and forth between the living room and the sanctuary, because that happens all the time with this class. And so it says, you need not welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. And then it says, you are not asked to judge or analyze the ideas at all. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. The use of the ideas will give the ideas meaning to you, and the use will show you that the ideas are true. So let's go through this. I'm going to see if I can go through the whole thing, because it's got some great tips, and it might be one of those classes where you want to, one of those classes where you might want to make sure you mark it for easy reference. So, I am one self. Notice right behind it, it has a comma that says united with my Creator. So that's the same as saying I am one self. Is the same as saying I'm united with my Creator. So when it says I'm one self, it says I'm united with my Creator. And so today's idea, and I'm going to show you after today's idea, what idea? I am one self, united with my Creator, describes you as God created you. So the way that love created you is that you are united with love. You're united with your Creator, and your Creator is love. You are united with your Creator, and your Creator is love. You are one within yourself, and you are one with love. You're one with your Creator, and you're one with yourself. You're one. Now, I don't know about you, but it looks like there's a lot of me's. It looks like there's at least two. One that's completely insane, and one that's very sane. I call my ego my insane roommate. Because it goes with me pretty much everywhere I go, and it has endless opinions about everything that's going on. It's always trying to advise me how to avoid catastrophic outcomes. So it's always telling me what I got to be on the lookout for. So it says, yours is the unity of all creation. Your perfect unity makes change in you impossible. So it's impossible for you to change. Do you know that it's impossible for you to change? So stop feeling bad because it looks like you've been trying to change and you haven't been able to pull it off. It's impossible for you to change. As you were created, it's impossible for you to change. You are loved, you are loved, you are loving, and you are lovable. It's impossible for you to change that. It says you don't accept this. You don't accept this. And that means you fail to realize it must be so. But why do you fail to realize that your perfect unity makes changes in you impossible? You don't accept it. It says you fail to realize it must be so. And it says you fail to realize what must be so, that you have a perfect unity with God, that you are total love. And it says the reason why you don't realize it is because you believe you have already changed yourself. You believe that you have, and what is it that you believe that you've already changed yourself into? Whatever your concept of yourself is. Whatever you tell yourself about yourself that's less than loving is what you believe you already changed yourself into. If you say I'm not enough, if I say I'm stupid, if I say I'm separate, if I say I'm a body, if I say I'm a person, if I say I'm guilty, if I say anything other than I am one self united with my Creator, that I am love and I was created by love, if I come up with any other ideas about me than that, then that is what I believe I have changed myself into already. So when we come to these type of gatherings and we are told by Holy Spirit that we are completely united with God, that we're united with freedom, and we're united with beauty, and we're united with power, and we're united with oneness, it's like, no, I think I'm this miserable person. Some part of me believes I'm this miserable person that I've taught myself I was since childhood or whatever happened to me from the past. So we haven't changed ourselves. You have not changed yourself from being powerful. You haven't changed yourself from being innocent. You haven't changed yourself from being loved. You haven't changed yourself from being supported by the universe and God. You have not changed yourself. You can't change yourself. Yay. Any questions about that first paragraph? About the paragraph. Everybody clear about the point that it's making? That when it says you're one self, it's saying you're united with God. And if you're united with God, you're in unity with everything. And that means that this unity that you are, this love that you are, it's impossible for you to change. So your opinion about yourself ultimately doesn't matter. Your opinion about yourself doesn't change one single thing about you. Good. What I would advise you to do, if you ever want to have any peace, I'm going to give you a tip. While you're in the process of recognizing you haven't changed yourself, while you're in the process of recognizing you are the love of God, you are the Spirit of God, stop telling yourself that you're going to feel good all the time. See, I find that most people keep themselves miserable because they expect every day that they're going to feel okay, fine, and centered, and 100% happy all day, every day. And the minute that you have a day that you don't, you make it too serious. You get too caught up in it. Stop it. You are not going to feel 100% peace all the time until you recognize who you really are. So the way you defeat your ego is to not make such a big deal out of it if you're depressed today, or you're angry today, or you're upset today, or something didn't go the way you wanted to, or you're back into your seeing yourself as being insecure. When you're back to seeing yourself as believing you have changed yourself. I'll say that to you again. Your ego's biggest trick is to constantly make you get caught up in your opinion of yourself. And therefore spend most of your day upset because today you don't feel good. Today you don't feel love. Today you don't feel on top of the world. You're supposed to go big deal. Stop getting upset with yourself about getting upset. So I'm just giving you a tip, because that's the biggest trick that I see with Course in Miracles students. They freak out if they don't feel good all the time, even though they're not doing the course. Which is really funny. You know what I'm saying? Or they think they are doing the course, so therefore that means that every second of the day I'm going to feel okay about everything that's going on. That's a trick. That's your call for love. And until we get to the point that we start doing what the Holy Spirit tells us to do, which is to see everything as love and a call for love, if I'm not doing what the Holy Spirit is telling me to do, then how am I going to get the result? It's telling me, Earl, when you're upset, when you're angry, when you're frightened, that's your call for love. Damn it. Start telling yourself it's a call for love. That's what it is. There's no need to analyze it, bro. You having a call for God right now. So analyzing it means you're trying to figure out what's going on. Right? But if I know what's going on, there's no need for me to analyze anymore. What's going on? You got a freaking call for love, dude. That's why you cuss the guy out in traffic. And then just let it go. Yeah, I went to a party, I got jealous last night. That's a call for love. Don't need to analyze. Holy Spirit has already told me what it is. It's my call for love. Use the answers, Earl. I know it sounds like I'm impassioned towards you, but I'm looking at that dude right there just on the monitor looking back at me. I had to put him on the front row. Y'all think it was just about me being on Facebook Live. No, I'm getting serious about talking to dude. He's on the front row. He got a cute too. They got asked him after lunch or something, after the class. I might get lucky, you know. I can't tell. Looked like he wouldn't turn me down.
99.9%
I think I know how to please him. I think I know how. So let's go to the next paragraph. He says, now, this when he talks like this, and he says stuff like, you see yourself as a ridiculous parody on God's creation. What does that mean? You see yourself as weak. You see yourself as vicious, ugly, and sinful. You see yourself as miserable and beset with pain. It's talking about that version of ourselves that our ego has. Okay, you clear about that?
Yeah.
So when it says stuff like, you see yourself, I don't see myself that way. You just in denial. But that's okay. Sometimes that's the only way people feel good, is they don't tell the truth about what they're feeling. You know, right? So that's okay. Okay. So the Course says that, what is that? He says that's your version of yourself. What is your version of yourself? It says it's a self divided into many, what kind of parts? Warring parts. What's a warring part? A part of you that's separate from God, tenuously held together by its erratic and capricious maker to which you pray. The Course in Miracles basically says to me that the reason why there's a lesson that he talks about, there's no cruelty in God and none in me. And he talks about how people are praying to a God that doesn't exist. Like people wonder why they don't get an answer. He says, well, you're praying to a God that doesn't exist if you're praying to a God of punishment and fear. Because that is not a God that exists. So it's just like me praying to nothing and then being shocked that I don't appear to get an answer. Those who believe in a guilty, punishing God are according to the Course, they are praying to a God that doesn't exist.
Wow.
So that's when he says it's erratic and capricious maker to which you pray. A God that gets jealous and punishes and and punishes those who disobey, right? Then that would be a God that's vicious, right? And it says, no, that is your version. That is your version. It then says, this God doesn't hear you. This ego doesn't hear your prayers because it's deaf. It doesn't see the oneness in you because it's blind. It doesn't understand that you are the Son of God, you are the child of God, for it is senseless and understands nothing. So what is my ego? My ego is the part of me that doesn't hear my prayers, the part of me that doesn't hear the truth, the part of me that doesn't see me as one, the part of me that is blind, the part of me that doesn't understand that I'm the unlimited child of God, that I'm consciousness, I'm spirit, I'm awareness. There's a part of me that doesn't understand that. What part of me that doesn't understand that? The part of me that I see as weak, vicious, ugly, painful, miserable, and beset with pain. That part of me doesn't see me as this unbelievably loving, powerful being that the Course in Miracles is telling me about. Paragraph 2. Question, comments, ahas.
that particular point of the warring parts is really hit me, because it's not only that I see myself in these ways, I even fight myself about the way I see myself.
I fight myself about the way that I see myself, and I see myself in that way, and I get upset with myself for seeing myself that way, even though I'm the one that's seeing myself that way. Exactly. That's what's so crazy. You know what I'm saying? I tell myself to tell me I'm stupid, then I get mad at myself for telling me that. Yeah. As if something said that was external to me. Yeah. Right? Anybody else? Anybody else online? Nana, I don't like to feel bad. Right. So Nana, you will stop feeling bad when you make it okay for you to feel bad, while you're going beyond the idea that you deserve to feel bad. Yeah. I'm going to keep on saying that. Mm-hmm. Every time you say, I don't like to feel bad, and you beat yourself up for feeling bad, you are actually feeding your ego. Yeah. Your ego feeds off conflict and fear and anger. Yeah. So you're not taking yourself out of anger by getting angry. Yeah. Oh my God. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the way that insane part of our mind tricks us. Oh, I'm mad at myself because I'm not as loving as I should be. Well, being mad at yourself feeds your ego. I don't care what you're mad at yourself. Just because you think you're mad at yourself for a noble reason, that doesn't mean that you're not feeding your ego just as much, because you're giving anger. So, but what if I go, I feel angry, but I'm not getting upset about being angry? That's just the way I feel right now. But the truth is, I'm staying in that feeling because I'm not telling the truth about it. And the truth about it is, it's my call for God, it's my call for love, it's my call for Him. Until that becomes my one response to any feeling I have that's not peace, I'm not obeying the instructions that my inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, is doing. We've got to obey the instructions that we're being given if we want to get the result of inner peace that the Course is promising. I can't read the Course and still use my interpretations in the way of dealing with things and think I'm going to get a different result. It's not going to work. You can't read the Course and then go right back to the old way of handling things and think it's going to make a difference. Raj.
So I can still feel my feelings fully, and that fullness, then, if I'm giving, is my call for love.
That is your call.
That is my call for love. So me, experiencing the anger too, however it needs to be experienced, and I'm recognizing, I'm feeling it fully, so I'm not in any sort of denial, and I'm also recognizing that this is the feeling for the call for love.
That's right.
That's your release.
That's right. You're bringing the illusion to the truth instead of bringing the truth to the illusion.
I'm bringing what?
You're bringing your illusion to the truth instead of trying to make your illusions true. Oh, I'm upset, I'm going to try to make that true. No, I'm upset. That's my call for God. So I just brought my illusion, being upset, to the truth, what it really is.
Because I've sometimes found myself thinking that, oh, I'm wondering if I'm denying my emotions by being like, oh, this is a call for love, this is a call for love, this is a call for love right now. Wondering if I'm denying myself the...
No, you're having the feeling, so therefore you're not denying the emotion, because if I'm upset, I feel upset. Let's say if I feel fear, I feel fear. Yeah. What I'm doing now is describing fear accurately. Yeah. So I'm not actually in denial, it's just for the first time I'm telling the truth about what fear is. It actually is. Totally. So that's not denial. Okay. The feeling is still what you would have originally called the feeling of fear and anger. But now it's like somebody saying, you know, you've been calling that a radio, but it's really a TV. But you're not denying that that's what you were looking at it, you know. But you were calling it a radio, but it's a TV. But you were still seeing the pictures and the images. So all of a sudden you went, oh, that's a TV. Now you're just calling it what it is.
Oh, okay, great.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm used to calling fear something other than what it truly is, which is my call for love, my call for help, my call for healing. So that's what it's saying to us now, is that you are totally unchangeable. What you were created to be by God is unlimited love, that you are innocent, that you are sinless, that you are guiltless. You made up images of yourself. And now you are in conflict with the images of yourself that you are making up and was taught to you. And so this is coming back and telling us that today we will attempt to be aware only of what can really hear, can really see, and what makes perfect sense. So what are we trying to be aware of today? We're trying to be aware of what we really can hear, what we really can see, and what would really make perfect sense. We are not insane. We just learned insane lessons. You're not crazy, you just learn crazy things. That's why we're in so much pain and suffering in the world. It's not because we are crazy, it's because we are doing crazy things, coming from crazy thoughts and insane thoughts. So the Course is saying we will again direct our exercises towards what? Reaching your one self. That's our purpose today. Tell me the truth about your one self. Your one self is united with its creator. Your one self is united with its creator. So how are we going to try again? In patience and in hope. So patiently, and I'm going to try this one more time, and I'm going to hope one more time I can pull this off. Right? So he says what you should do is use the first 5 minutes of every hour that you are awake practicing the idea. What is the idea? I'm one self united with my creator. I'm one self united with my creator. I am one self. I am united with my creator. I am one self united with my creator. So that's a very direct, practical instruction, right?
Right.
Guess what? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, I don't.
But you know what? I wanted the cake. I didn't put the flour and the eggs and everything in the bag and put it in the oven, but I am very upset that I don't have a cake. That's people studying all these wisdom books and hearing the recipe, not putting it together, going, this stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can imagine how many people have come to my class and listening to these instructions that I've given never came back because they said it didn't work. But all they did was heard. Sort of. Sort of. Not really heard.
Yeah.
Sort of heard, right? So then the Course in Miracles says, I'm going to tell you the advantage of doing this the first 5 minutes of every hour. Doing what? Telling myself I'm one self united with my creator. What is the advantage? What is the I don't know why I'm looking at this book when I got my iPad. It's so pretty with them huge fonts that are just so generous to my eyes. Oh my God. See, I'm still so insane, I think I need little bits of glass before my eyes in order to see. That's what the Course says. You all really think you wouldn't see if you didn't have little bits of glass in front of your eyes. Lord, have mercy.
But they're loving glass.
That's right. That's right. When you got to wear them, you got to distract people. It says, what is the advantage? What is the special advantage at this stage of learning in which you are at present? What advantage? The advantage of saying I'm one self united with my creator. He says, it is difficult at this point not to allow your mind to wander. Have you noticed that even as I'm speaking?
Yeah.
That it's very difficult that your mind doesn't wander?
Yes.
I saw somebody's mind go through the hall. And I saw a few minds that needed to be cleaned.
Yeah.
There's a couple of dirty minds in here too.
Innocent
Not
dirty
mine.
minds.
It's not, no, it wouldn't be yours, Paris. It's not, which we know it must be since you said it. The Course in Miracles is basically saying you want to lose your mind.
Yes.
That'd be the best thing that ever happened to you, was that you lost your mind. So it says it's difficult at this point not to allow your mind to wander. If your mind undertakes extended practice, you notice that it's very difficult for your mind not to wander. It says you should have realized this by now. You should have realized this by now, that as soon as someone gives you the truth, your mind starts to wander. He says, you have seen what? The extent of what? Your lack of mental discipline. Are you already aware you have a lack of mental discipline? What is a lack of mental discipline? Allowing your mind to wander. And so you have seen the extent of your need for what? Mind training. See, we've been educated not to like to hear a word like that.
Yeah.
That, you know, somebody's going to try to train your mind.
Yeah.
Well, that means they're trying to take you over. You know, it's like, yeah, if you're lucky. You know what I mean? He's saying, you have seen the extent of your lack of mental discipline, which means you have seen your need of mind training. It is necessary that you be aware of this. Be aware of what? Your lack of mental discipline. So it's a stage that you become aware, you know what, I don't have mental discipline. I want to tell you, there's a part of me that does not have mental discipline. There's a part of me that as soon as I start hearing the truth, my mind starts to wander. I, Earl Purdy, want to admit that I have a lack of mental discipline. Okay, so I've learned from doing the Course many, many years that as soon as I come up on something that it tells me to think or say, I stop and I go ahead and I do it right then. I don't defend my old way like I used to. Now I say, you're right, you're right, you're right. I have a lack of mental discipline. I believe I've changed myself already.
Yeah.
See? Because when you go through it that way, then the course becomes a giant confessional. And then by the time you get through with it, you've exposed all your illusions about yourself and allowed the healing to start, because you're not defending against what the course is teaching. So it says, it is necessary that you be aware of this, and then you go, aware of what? My lack of mental discipline and my what? Mind wandering. Because it is what? A hindrance to your advance. So the biggest hindrance to my moving towards the kind of happiness that I want to is my lack of mental discipline and my mind wandering. And I need to be aware of that. Then it says, frequent but shorter practice periods have other advantages for you at this time. So what's a frequent and short practice period? It's taking 5 minutes of the hour and telling myself I'm one self, united with my Creator. And then he also says, say it very slowly, I am one self, united with my Creator. Like this is what I say to you, you're one self, united with your Creator. Then I turn around and go, you are one self, united with your Creator. Notice how you heard it more. See, we are experts at reading. So being able to read is really that impressive. It's hearing what we read that's impressive, right? So it says, further but shorter practice periods have other advantages for you when? At this time. So in addition to recognizing your difficulties with sustained attention, you must also have noticed that unless you are reminded of your purpose frequently, or your workbook lesson frequently, or the course frequently, you tend to forget about it for long periods of time. So unless I'm constantly reminded about this, before I know it, I'm caught up with my insane roommate, back in the world again, believing what the world is saying, and all of a sudden 5 hours has gone by and I have not done my workbook lesson one time, or I have not read and studied like I said I was going to do, and I'm completely back into the world's thinking. And you can sum up the world's thinking in one sentence, which is, I am the victim of the world I see. That everything is being done to me. I'm not the one that's responsible for anything that's happened. That's basically what the world is trying to teach us, is that we're at the effect level of everything that's going on. So the Course in Miracles is saying, I want you to hear this again. You notice that you have difficulties with sustained attention. You've also noticed that unless you get reminded a lot, you tend to forget about your purpose for long periods of time. And this is the best one. You often fail to remember the short applications of the idea for the day. I did plays where I had to learn pages and pages of script, and then will not be able to remember my Course in Miracles lesson. Like, what was God's will for me is perfect picnics? What was it? Have you noticed that all of a sudden you be going like, you have to write it on your arm or something, and it's like 5 words, but you remember what somebody did to you in high school until you die. I remember a grievance for years and years and years and years, but can't remember 5 words that would heal me. Interesting. What part of me would be that part of me? It would be that version of myself I made up that thinks I'm weak and vicious and sinful and separate. That's the part of course my ego isn't going to want to remember my Course in Miracles lesson. That would undo my ego.
It's a defense mechanism.
It's a defense mechanism. My real self will remember the lesson. My ego will try to make me forget the lesson. Yes?
I'm on the 220s in my practice, and it starts out that section by saying there's no particular time frame or instructions here. And so I found myself, getting lazy, and I'm realizing now that at very least I could take 5 minutes at the beginning of each hour, regardless of whether it tells me or not to do that.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Because really the long-term goal is to have this thought system being as much your natural thought system as the fearful ego thought system. You're going to get to the point where thinking like this is more natural to you than thinking the way we were taught to think. And it's going to actually be hard to understand why people still attack themselves, see themselves as separate, see themselves as a victim. And you'll be like, wow, but you used to be exactly the same way. And all of a sudden, because your mind will start to go, I'm responsible for that, I created that, it's a call for God. You know, this is going to be your thought system one day. And you're going to have a world that reflects this thought system, which is an infinitely more loving, peaceful world than the one that's spirit-based, let me tell you. And it does exist. It's just that very sane beings don't approach us until we become a little bit saner. Or they're around us thinking the truth, but won't identify themselves. Just like you do with a lot of your friends and relatives. You thinking differently, but you don't say anything to them. Because you know you'll accomplish more by never even engaging them. Because they'll just argue and defend you with you and think you're crazy. Right? But don't you think the higher parts of us that are higher than us are not doing the exact same thing? They're not asking us out for dates.
Yeah.
Because they know we're crazy. And so, by crazy, I mean we're not practicing unconditional love and self-responsibility and seeing ourselves as innocent. So they know getting involved with us would be asking for a lot of conflict, frankly. Just like there are people you wouldn't go out with now because you feel like you'd be asking for a lot of conflict because of love. Don't think you're at the top of the totem pole of the self.
Right.
Don't you think for a second that there are parts of us that are walking around in the body that's more aware of truth and love than we are. And they're taking the exact same attitude toward us as we take toward the people that we think we're more conscious of, which is to see the truth, shoot out love for us, and don't say anything. That's why they're quiet. That's why God's quiet. That's why everything is quiet. They know the best way to deal with us is just to be quiet. And they're trying to give us a hint about how we can have peace too. If you close your mouth, you also have a lot more peace.
Right.
You know, like some people's ego will get them to run out of the class and go talk to their born again neighbor and try to convince them that there is no sin.
Yeah.
See, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to create conflict. That's not going to create any kind of peace between you and that other person.
That's right.
You know, because if you're a really conscious being, you know that that person has the Holy Spirit, just like you do, and they're on their spiritual path, just like you are, and they have guidance. You're not so special that God just made a voice for you. So therefore, they have a voice, and they're in their own process. It's like, I like to use the analogy of a skillet that's full of popcorn, and all the kernels don't pop at once, but they're all going to pop. And just because you pop first, you don't judge the kernel that hasn't popped yet. It's going to pop. Don't worry about it. So part of your faith would be your trusting that the Holy Spirit and everyone you know is going to guide them. And if there's something for you to say or do, Spirit will do it and say it through you. And in most cases, you won't even know Spirit used you. And they'll come back and tell you about something you said to them that made a difference in their life that you don't even remember saying. So really the best advice that you give people is the advice that you don't intend to give. He says that consciously selected miracles can be misguided. For me to sit down and try to decide what's best for you and then tell you, I can be completely misguided. So I'm very suspicious whenever I sit down and I decide I'm going to fix somebody. Yeah. That's my red flag right there. Right? So the next time you think you know what somebody else needs, you might want to check in. Right? Now, somebody at the end. Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I have a question about something on a word that, you know, being with a Catholic, Roman Catholic religious upbringing, this word kind of brings up, I know it's a call for love, I understand that, but it's a word that brings up eternal damnation and that sort of thing. And I think you already know the word I'm talking about.
There's a word that brings up, I'm just saying it loud so people online can hear what you're saying. You're saying that there's a word that in this section that brings up the whole program.
This last sentence, it goes, you have not yet formed the habit of using the idea as an automatic response to temptation. And he uses that word throughout this book, temptation. And every time I hear that, it kind of strikes me as an odd word to be used.
Good. Okay.
But I know it's my call for love. I know it's bringing up some of my old fears of eternal damnation and going to hell. And
But besides that, no problem, right? Yes.
Since you share a comment.
Sure. Two things came to mind immediately when you said that. Most of the time with the Course in Miracles, one of the tips I'd like to give you, first of all, I'm here teaching, and there's plenty of people that will not agree with my interpretation or the way I see things. Okay? There's many different interpretations of the Course as there are teachers of the Course. And I've been doing this a long time. So, and every teacher and everybody who believes in whoever their teacher is, they think how anybody else is doing it is not the ultimate way to do it, just like people do the Bible. But the Course tells you that the people that are sent to you, sent by the Holy Spirit, are the ones that need it the way you do it. So I know that anybody that comes to my class, for whatever reason, they needed to hear it, whatever came through me that day, and then it's up to them to accept it or reject it. So that allows me to be authentic and you to accept or to reject. But the Course in Miracles, in this instance, when it says temptation, it's talking about your temptation not to use the idea. That's my temptation, is not to do what I'm told. The other definition of temptation, he says, is the temptation to see myself as a body. The temptation to see myself as limited. The temptation to see myself as separate. He talks about that in the very last chapter, chapter 31. He talks about how your temptation is to think you are something that's just limited to your arm's reach. And that your temptation to think that you are just a human being and just a physical body. That's the ultimate temptation, or the temptation to see yourself as sinful or guilty. These are the temptations that the Course is talking about, where usually the way it's done in traditional religion, the temptation is the temptation to drink, to have sex when you got married, to have a dress on that's too short, all that other ridiculous stuff that people make themselves feel guilty. I can just see if God was a person freaking out and going, oh my God, her dress is 6 inches above her knee. You know. And so what would make somebody happy, it makes God miserable. So so we've got to realize that the Course in Miracles has its own definition for everything in the book. I'll say that again. The Course in Miracles has its own definition. So you study it so that you will know the Course in Miracles interpretation, right? So when you hear those words, you'll give it another meaning that won't limit you. Like now when I hear Christ, instead of that freaks me out, I know he's talking about the one self we all share. Yeah. Or your real self. Or if he says sin, oh, that's my belief that I can do something that God couldn't heal or correct. Oh, I'm sinful. Oh, that's my belief that attack is what's going to help me in this situation. See, it has its own definition of all of it so that you don't have to run away from what you hear in the world. You just have a new interpretation of it. So I won't be freaking out when I hear Jesus or when I hear salvation or when I hear heaven. Because it's kind of ridiculous to try to live your life trying to avoid words that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you see many people trying to do. Just don't say God.
Yeah, sure.
Don't say God. Don't say Jesus. Don't say Christ. Don't say, no, I'm sorry. You know, I was watching the TV the other day, and they were talking about all these new terms, like there's 70 different terms for sexuality now. It's not just simply heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual, or 3 or 4 categories. You know, now it's like this whole, you know, I was like shocked at all these different ways that people were relating to each other, and they were like getting upset because you weren't using the correct terminology for the way that they decided to define themselves. And I'm going, how completely insane. How would I, in my wildest dreams, know to call you what you made up to call yourself? And then I've got to apologize for not saying it. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. That's not a disrespect to you. I might want to call myself Zebra Guru. And you don't call me, I go, you're not respecting who I really am, and you're trying to limit me. Like, you didn't even know I call myself Zebra Guru. So in other words, whenever you set the world up, that your happiness is dependent on someone else being different, someone else having to change, you have set up a situation where you will not be happy. I can wait till the rest of my life for my son or daughter to tell me what I want to hear and then make myself not be happy about that. Or I can tell myself I have never changed, I'm still love, I'm still spirit, I'm still innocent, I am still lovable. That's what I am. And then not make how they respond to me determine how I feel. So, thank you for saying that. Temptation is the temptation to see myself as a limited being. That's the only temptation I ever have, is the temptation to see myself as separate from God. God, God. All those people out there got a problem with the word God. God, 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 Christ, 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 Christ. Here's the hard one. Jesus, 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 which is another way of saying just us.
Just us.
J-I-S-U-S. Just us. It's just us. It's just us. You know, don't let words ruin your day. We got enough things to deal with. Words should be the least of the things that we focus on. You know what I'm saying? So the Course says, I love it. I'm going to go back because I really want to get through this, so I'm going to see if I can do it. it says, now, in addition to recognizing your difficulties, I changed the way my voice sounds because it'll get your attention. In addition to recognizing your difficulties with sustained attention, you must also have noticed that unless you are reminded of your purpose frequently, you tend to forget your purpose for long periods of time. You often fail to remember the short applications of the day. You sometimes and often fail. See, Court says something in weird ways. We don't want to hear you often fail. That doesn't sound cool. Notice how it started out. It says you often fail. You often fail to what? Remember what? The short applications of the day. And you haven't yet formed the, like you were saying, the habit of using the ideas in automatic response to temptation. What's it? Okay, I'm getting ready to get upset. I'm oneself, named with my Creator. I'm getting ready to judge the way you're thinking about me right now. Oh, I'm oneself, named with my Creator. Structure, then, is necessary for you at this time. Structure is necessary for you at this time. Planned what? Planned what? To include what? Frequent reminders of your goal, and then regular attempts to reach your goal. So what is a frequent reminder of my goal? Well, my goal today is to remember I'm oneself united with my Creator. Most of the time, the things that people are wondering what the Course means is right on the page in front of them, but if they would go ahead and read the page, then they would find out, but they stop, try to fit what they're reading into their own personal learning and get stuck rather than just keep going. I always tell people when you're reading the Course, keep going, because it's going to tell you the same thing 100 quadrillion different ways until you hear it the way you can hear it, right? So it says, regularity in terms of time is not the ideal requirement for the most beneficial form of practice in salvation, which is healing, forgiveness, and acquiring right-mindedness. So actually, ultimately, it's not going to be about the routine you set up to remember to say your workbook lesson. Ultimately. It says, but it is regularity. And have y'all ever been irregular?
All my life.
Okay. Well, the Course in Miracles says, it is advantageous, however, for those whose motivation is inconsistent. So those with inconsistent motivation do need regularity in terms of time. We need a structure. We need to get up in the morning, and the first thing you do is focus in on the truth every day. I need structure. Ultimately, I won't need structure because it would be such a part of me, it would just be what I'm doing all the time. But my motivation is inconsistent. Why? Because I don't think I'm totally innocent yet.
Yeah.
So I have remained what? Heavily defended against learning. So people with inconsistent motivations are people who are actually defended against learning what will give them happiness. Why? Because there's a part of me that doesn't think I deserve it. Okay, questions or comments about that? Renee, talk to me, Renee.
When I did this lesson, that was one of the big relief moments as I got to that paragraph where it said, just flat out, you have a tendency to forget to do these.
Anybody else have a tendency to forget to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It really made me feel a lot better about it that they knew. They
Yeah.
already knew that I was going to have
Jesus
trouble.
Jesus already knows what you're going to do before you do it.
Yeah, and I was glad they told me.
Yeah, and the whole book is like that. The whole book is like that. If you actually start to study the Course in Miracles, it would get freaky because of, especially the workbook, because it'll look like you go through something in the workbook lesson, covers it the next day. Then you go through something in the workbook lesson, covers it. The Course in Miracles says that it's already over. We've already come back to our awareness of ourselves. We already know we're back with God, and what we're doing is just reviewing what we went through to get there. The analogy that I like to use is coming to a movie, at the end of the movie, seeing how it turned out, and then sitting there until you watch until it brings you back to the point that you came in. So you've already succeeded. There's no possibility that you have not succeeded to be reconnected to your source and the awareness of who you really are.
Yay!
Right? Yay! You're in the process now of seeing what you went through to get there.
It's like deja vu.
Deja vu. And you'll feel that feeling often. That you've been, you said, tell me like I've been through this before. Yeah, like 1,000,000 times. Yeah, this is Groundhog Day, folks. If you've ever seen that movie, you must see that movie because that is exactly what we're doing. It even figures into when I use the language of astrology and numerology. That's why I try to tell people it's not in conflict with the Course in Miracles. It's like anything else. It's symbols. Just like the Course in Miracles is a symbol. It's another way for Holy Spirit to communicate. But of course, we all get into those things of my way of doing it is legitimate and your way isn't. So if you do it through a strategy numerology as opposed to just the course, then you're missing the boat. No, I'm missing the boat if I think I've changed myself. I'm missing the boat if I have lost awareness of my innocence. I'm missing the boat if I've forgotten the truth. But I'm not really missing the boat. I'm thinking I'm missing the boat. I'm on the boat. I'm not letting myself enjoy being on the boat because of what I'm telling myself while I'm on the boat.
Whoa.
You're already
Wow.
saved. You're already saved, telling yourself stuff that keeps you from enjoying it.
Yeah.
Right? So the Course says, whose motivation is inconsistent?
Mine.
Those who remain heavily defended against learning. Thank you, Demetrius. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Janet. Thank you for everybody that's sharing online. I love it. I always remember that whenever you share what you think of as your wisdom or your truth, first and foremost, it's for you.
That's right.
So I know that anytime I'm giving any kind of instruction or sharing my opinion or making my statements of truth, it's that dude right there. That's the one that it's really for. It's not, I'll act like it's for you, but it's really for me. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why I teach is because it guarantees that I'm going to hear this. Because I'm sitting up here in front of the room. So thank you, everybody that's sharing from within. The next paragraph says, we will therefore keep to the 5 minutes an hour practice periods for a while and urge you to omit as few as possible. I will urge you to omit as few of the exercises
How
as
long is a
possible.
while?
How long is a while? That's a great question. It says using the first 5 minutes of every hour will be particularly helpful. Why? Because it imposes firmer structure. So why am I trying to use 5 minutes every hour? Because it says when your motivation is inconsistent and you're heavily defended against learning, you need firmer structure. So this is your own spiritual aerobics. You know, we're becoming buff.
Yeah.
You know, mentally buff. You know what I'm saying? I remember coming home and they told me that my thoughts created the way that my body looked, and so I would come home from work and I would sit in my easy chair and I would jog around the block for about, 30 minutes or so, and I lost weight. And my body firmed up. It was because it's all of the mind anyway. You know, and I got pretty good. I could do like a 1 minute mile. It was amazing what I was able to do. You know, it's all in the mind. Everything's in the mind. The Course says the ultimate lesson we must learn is that there's nothing outside of us. You think I'm outside of you, I'm inside of you. All of this is inside the mind. There's just one mind, we're all inside of it. So we're all sharing the same mind. It's just one of us here. That's what he's saying. There's just one self pretending like it's a lot, you know, and we're not having fun with it the way we should. Right. So the Course says, we will therefore keep the 5 minutes an hour practice periods. Doing what? Urging you to omit as few as possible. Doing what? Using the first 5 minutes of the hour will be particularly helpful. Why? Because it imposes firmer structure. However, do not, use your lapses in the schedule as an excuse not to return to it again as soon as you can. Oh, I didn't do my lesson today, so I'll just do it tomorrow. I missed my lessons today, so I'll do it tomorrow. He said there may well be a temptation to regard the day as lost. Why do you regard the day as lost? Because you've already failed to do what's required. You didn't do what the Course told you to do today in your workbook or in studying it, so you go, okay, well, I'll do it tomorrow, right? He says this should, however, merely be recognized as what it is. What? Failing to do what the Course is telling you to do, he's going to tell us the truth about what it really is. What it really is a refusal to let your mistake be corrected. You're refusing to let your fear be corrected. You're refusing to let whatever's causing you pain be corrected. Why? Because if I don't do the thing that alleviates the pain, then I evidently don't want the pain to go. That's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it. Because I don't really want my mistake corrected. He says, in other words, it's an unwillingness to try again. That's why I wanted to move it to the next day. It's my unwillingness to try again. Why? Because I don't want my mistake to be corrected. The Holy Spirit, which the Course defines as your loving right mind, your inner teacher, the part of you that's your bridge between your divine self and the you that thinks you're in the world. He says the Holy Spirit is not delayed by his teaching by your mistakes. God isn't delayed by your mistakes. None of the mistakes you ever made delays love. Love is not delayed. Truth is not delayed by any mistake you've ever made. No mistake you've ever made is so powerful that the Creator would be delayed.
That's right.
Now think about how arrogant that is. I can do something so intense that it delays God. That's how badass I am. Right? I can do something that can delay the universe. Right? It says, Holy Spirit can be held back only by your unwillingness to let the mistake go. So yeah, it does look like the Holy Spirit could be held back. Why? Because the Holy Spirit's love never forces itself on you. So therefore, if you don't want to do it, love isn't going to force it on you. Love waits on welcome, not on time. Love isn't interested in time, but you won't come to you when you welcome it, not how much time it takes for it to get to you. So if I'm unwilling to do what's being asked, then Spirit is not, if I want to hand you a glass of water and you don't want it, then I'm delayed because of your unwillingness to receive it. Not that the glass of water isn't available to you. The glass of water of love is available to all of us. It's not getting to us because we're not doing the simple things that are required in order to receive it, which is to take 5 minutes, an hour, and say, I'm one self-united with my Creator.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
That's why the Course in Miracles really, to me, tells us all the time how beautiful and how incredible we are, so that we can handle it when we see how crazy we are.
Yeah.
Right. I realize that a lot of stuff about myself, that my ego and my guilts and my shames that I've hidden for years, they're coming up now to be blessed and released because through my study of the Course, I can look at them without condemning myself.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things you have hidden and suppressed that need to be forgiven and released, as you love yourself more, you'll ultimately get to the point you can laugh at them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the goal. It's because we have a habit of every time we think we've done something wrong to shame ourselves and beat ourselves up. We think that the way to handle stuff that I think I've done wrong is to beat myself up about it.
That's right.
And so we need to learn who we really are so that as those ego thoughts come up to be released, we will bless ourselves and have compassion for ourselves as opposed to condemning ourselves. So it's through studying the Course you get to the point that you can look at your illusions and have the Holy Spirit shine them away. We are so loved beyond what we love ourselves. So it says, so what holds back love? Your unwillingness to let what go? Your mistakes. So he says, let us therefore be determined, particularly for the next week, to be willing to do what? Forgive ourselves for our lapses in diligence. So what's the first forgiveness that a person needs to learn to do? I forgive myself for not doing this the way that I should. I forgive myself for not practicing my spiritual practices the way that I should. I forgive myself for not practicing my spiritual practices the way that I should. I forgive myself for not doing this the way that I should. I forgive myself for my lapses in diligence, which is my failure to follow the instructions. I forgive myself for the failure to follow the instructions for practicing the day's idea. I forgive myself for failing to follow the instructions. I forgive myself for failing to follow the instructions. What is that? He says this tolerance for weakness will enable you to overlook it. That's a very powerful statement. You will overlook your weaknesses if you have tolerance for it. Because if you have tolerance for it, you're not making a big deal out of it, so you'll move on. If you're intolerant of your weaknesses, you get stuck there by you judging yourself for having it. So the way you get past the ego is actually to have tolerance for it. The way you get past your weakness, which is the ego, is to have tolerance for it. I'll say it again. This tolerance for weakness will enable you to overlook it rather than give it the power to delay your learning. So my not doing my workbook lessons ultimately do not have the power to delay my learning because I have tolerance for this weakness, because I know I have inconsistent motivation, because I know I'm defended against learning, because I think I've changed who I think I am. So now I have tolerance because I wouldn't be trying to learn this if I already had achieved the goal in my mind, right? So I can't beat myself up for not being the beautiful, pure person that I'm trying to study to allow myself to get in touch with, right? So notice how loving the Course in Miracles is. It's the most loving thing you could ever study in your whole life. It's so loving, it makes our mind wander. That's why the mind wanders so much. It's because we're being told such cool stuff that we don't believe in some part of us that we can't pay attention. You're telling me stuff that has no relevance to me. I'm totally, completely sinless and guiltless. I'm eternal. I live forever. I'm not a body. I'm supported by God. I'm guided all the time. I can never die. I just want to watch the Game of Thrones. I'm waiting patiently till 7 o'clock tonight. That's what it is. I need to see some heads roll. Blood and guts. I I remember to be in HBO at 7 o'clock. I'm diligent with that. That's where I got some firm structure. You follow what I'm saying? It's all a matter of motivation. It's all about what do you value. You know, people always have time for what's important to them. Always. So whenever I hear anybody say, oh, I really want to come to your class, but I got this, that, and that other, it's like, you innocent, it's okay. You don't have to come. I'm not trying to imprison you. But you'd be here if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I know that. So don't even bother. I know you would if you wanted to. I know you would if you wanted to. But I also know wherever you are is in divine order and exactly where you need to be and exactly where the lessons you need for that day is coming to you. And it may not be in here. So I'm not taking it personal most of the time. I ain't going to lie either. You know what I'm saying? But my goal is to never care. To know that it's always in divine order whatever people do or don't do with me. In every situation and circumstance. Now,
I'd like some help around the forgiveness piece, because on one hand, you were encouraging us to forgive ourselves a moment ago, and on the other hand, I hear that from the Course that forgiveness is an illusion, or that's...
It's the illusion that doesn't create other illusions, as he puts it. You're right, forgiveness is illusion. I forgive myself until I know that there's nothing to forgive, because by me telling myself the truth about letting it go. See, forgiveness means release. Forgiveness means correct perception. Forgiveness is true perception. So when I say I'm forgiving you, it means that I'm seeing you correctly. I'm seeing the situation truly. So when he says, for instance, here, remember, he's talking to people who do not know that there's nothing to forgive. He's not talking to the part of us that knows that we're forgiven. He's talking to the part of us that doesn't know it's been forgiven. And that part of us needs to think in terms of forgiveness until we recognize that there's nothing to forgive. But you want to use the Holy Spirit's definition of forgiveness, which is true perception, correct perception, and releasing. So here's an example. Let us therefore be determined, particularly for the next week or so, to be willing to forgive ourselves. Let us be willing to correctly perceive ourselves. Let us be willing to use true perception about our lapses. And what is the true perception of our lapses? That right now is just part of me that's being heavily defended against learning, but it has no power to really delay God and God healing me. So in that sense, I've forgiven myself because I'm seeing what I'm going through correctly. So I don't know how helpful that was, but the point is, there's a difference between how we're going to ultimately see things and the way that we're seeing things now. And on the level of consciousness that we're on now, we need the idea of forgiveness. Even though at some point you won't need the idea of forgiveness at all.
And when we're forgiving somebody else, are we saying to ourselves, I'm correcting my perception?
Exactly. Like if I look at, if you cuss me out and I look at it as a call for love, then I've forgiven you because I've correctly perceived what you did. So to forgive you is to correctly perceive what's happening. Forgiveness is not, the Course in Miracles says, forgiveness is not overlooking what you think someone did to you, because you can't overlook what someone actually did to you. You can only overlook what they did not do to you. And what they did not do to you is create the way you're choosing to see things right now. I don't care what somebody did to me in the past. They are not responsible for how I'm looking at it right now, because it's past. It's past. I could point to some things that I thought my father did when I was a child and keep on hashing over that. Or I can look at it correctly and let it go. And to look at it correctly would be to remind myself it's not happening now, and I'm the one that's choosing how I'm feeling right now, and I'm the one that's choosing how I look at things right now. You see what I'm saying? It's like, for me to look at something correctly is to get out of the past. For me to look at something correctly is to get out of the future. To look at something correctly is for me to look at things as they are now. And as they are now, if everything is love or call for love, everything now is that I'm the innocent child of God and nothing can change that. See, what's happening is we're being given alternative ways of looking at things. And they're being given to us. And the truth is, people tend not to value things that they don't make up for themselves. So the fact that this instruction is being given to us as opposed to us figuring it out ourselves immediately makes it more difficult for us to pay attention. Because as adults, we tend to not be open to answers we didn't make up or we didn't think of. So the minute you start to try to teach adults, that's your first problem. They think the definition of being an adult is that they're self-sufficient and autonomous and come up with their own solutions, which is obviously why they're going through hell. But they don't know that. So they want to insist on still coming up with their own answers. Hold on, I'm gonna give you a chance in the end, but I want to try to finish this before we get too long. Because when we get into it, it will bring up one question after another, and I'm glad. But I know y'all don't want to be here all afternoon, so let me get this, then we have some more time, and I'll do it. Because there's some main points that I want you all to hear. He says, the only thing that holds back you from getting beyond your mistakes, he says, is only by your unwillingness to let your mistakes go. So let us therefore be determined, particularly for the next week or so, to be willing to forgive ourselves for what? Our lapses in diligence, which is what? Our failures to follow the instructions for practicing today's idea. What about the tolerance for weakness? Well, this tolerance for weakness will enable us to overlook it, rather than give the weakness the power to delay our learning. If we give our weakness, what is our weakness? Our failures to follow the instruction, the power to delay our learning, then we are regarding our weakness as a strength because we think the weakness has the power to stop us, and then so we're confusing strength with weakness. There's a line that he says, how can you not succeed if only weakness stands in the way, because weakness has no power.
Right.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
That's what I love about the Course in Miracles. It says things in ways I've never heard any other book say it. I'll say that again. Your weakness can't stop you from achieving anything because then it would have power. So none of your weaknesses block anything. It's just your failure to what? Do what you're being told. Then it says, when you in the next paragraph, see, when you fail to comply with the requirements of this course, you merely made a mistake. You just made a mistake. Now, why is it that people don't want to hear that they made a mistake? A mistake bugs us a lot more than anything because we've been programmed that we shouldn't make mistakes. So when a book says you are making a mistake, ugh. But when someone says, like I learned as a child, you're a sinner. You're born in sin. You can't help but sin. That's your nature. Well, if I can't help it, I'm not going to do anything to try to change it. But if you tell me it's a mistake, I don't like to make mistakes because I like to be right. And most human beings like to be right. So they don't want to hear that they're making a mistake. The Course is genius in the way that it says stuff. It says it in a way that you immediately rebel against it. So he says, well, don't sweat it. When you fail to comply with the requirements of this course, you merely made a mistake. What is a mistake called for? Correction. And for nothing else. You mean not correction and punishment? Not punishment, then correction? No. You just deserve to be corrected. Period. Period. Nothing else. You just need to be corrected. Nothing else. To allow a mistake to continue is to make additional mistakes. To allow a mistake to continue is to make additional mistakes based on the first mistake and reinforcing the first mistake. So if I keep on failing to comply, if I keep on failing to do what I'm being asked to do, what am I doing? I'm making additional mistakes. But what do those additional mistakes call for? Those additional mistakes just call for correction and nothing else. There would be no point that you could make so many mistakes that you get punished for them. I make a mistake, I get corrected. I make a mistake, I get corrected. I make a mistake, I get lovingly corrected. I make another mistake, I get lovingly corrected. I make another mistake, I get lovingly. You could make 1,000 mistakes and you would just be corrected and nothing else by love. See, you got to understand, we haven't been dealing with a love thought system. We didn't grow up in a love thought system. We grew up in a separation, fear, guilt-ridden thought system. So we used to have guilty minds correct. Punishment, 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 punishment. 2 and 2 is 5. What is 2 and 2? 5. See, we've been taught punishment is correction. If I punish you, that's why people go to prison and come out harder than they went in.
Yeah.
They've just been punished. Nobody's tried to do anything with their minds. So they come out actually angrier than they went in, wanting to beat people up more than when they came in. It's correction that does it, right? So a loving man wants to correct you, not punish you. A loving partner wants you to be corrected and not punished. Your loving partner isn't punishing you because you came home late. The correction is knowing why they tried as long as they could to make sure they didn't come home to you. Why did they want to come home late? They didn't want to see you. Why is that? That's the question you should be asking. What is it about the perception of our relationship? that needs to be changed? What is it about our perception of each other needs to be changed? We need to have a conversation, not punishment. So that once you begin to wake up to love, it's so easy for you to discern who to join with and who not to join with, and how intimately to join with them. All it takes is 5 minutes from the perspective of awareness and getting past your desire to have their body over their mind mattering.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, because most of us are looking, it's about the body.
Yeah.
And by about the body, I don't just mean the physical body. I mean the money, the house, where they live, their status. I'm not just talking about the physical body. I'm talking about there's something about their body that the unconscious person is attracted to. Not their mind, not their spirit. So the Course in Miracles says, oh, I love this. See, this is so good. Now, to me, this wakes me up. I love this stuff. You know, I watch some people it kills them dead right in front of my face. But to me, it's like I watch this slow, agonizing death right in front of my eyes when I'm doing the Course in Miracles. It's so funny. I'm going, you know, I got a totally different perception of it, you know. It's a trip. It's a trip. To allow a mistake to continue to make additional mistakes based on the first mistake, reinforcing that first mistake, it is this process that what must be laid aside. There's a new definition of getting laid. Okay, for it is but another way in which you would defend illusions against the truth. What's the way that you defend illusions against the truth? You keep making the same mistake over and over again. What is the mistake? Mine not applying what I'm being told to apply. Let all these errors or mistakes go. How? By recognizing the mistake for what it is. These mistakes, failing to do what you're told, these errors are attempts to keep yourself unaware that you're one self, united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and peace. What is it? You're trying to keep yourself unaware that you are one self, united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. What are you doing? I'm trying to keep myself unaware that I'm one self, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. This is the truth. Nothing else is true. Today we will affirm this truth again. What truth? I am one self, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and in peace. Today we will affirm this truth again and try to reach the place in you in which there is no doubt that only this is true.
Let's do it.
So what is all the crap that I go through, that I put myself through? What is it that I'm doing, and all the pain and suffering that I cause myself? I'm trying to keep myself unaware. Unaware of what? I am one self, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. Today we will affirm this truth again and try to reach the place in you in which there is no doubt and that only this is true. Suppose you had a relationship that was so powerful and so true that you were frightened, and your partner or friend set you down and said, take a breath, close your eyes, listen to this. You are one self, united with your Creator, in every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. And you said it to your partner or your friend until they started to hear it and started to feel better. Begin the practice periods today with this assurance. Offer to your mind with all the certainty that you can give. Whoever's reading that with me, say it. I am one self, united with my Creator, and one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. Now everybody in the room, close your eyes. And let me tell you again, you are one self, united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. Think about that slowly. You are one self, united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace. Attempt to allow the meanings of those words to just sink into your mind. Let those words replace your false ideas. Say, I am one self. Let's go. I am one self. Again, I am one self. Again, I am one self. Say it again. I am one self. You are one self. You are one self. United, secure in light, secure in joy, secure in peace. You are God's child. You are one self. You have one Creator. You have one goal. You have one goal to bring this awareness that we are one self to all minds. That true creation may extend the allness and the unity of God. You are one self. You are complete and healed and whole. You have the power to lift the veil of darkness from the world. Let the light in you come through. Let the love in you come through. Why? try to teach the world the truth about yourself. You are one self in perfect harmony with all there is. You are one self in perfect harmony with all that there will be. You are one self. You are the holy child of God. You are united with your brothers and sisters in that self. You are united with your Creator. Feel this one self in you. Let this one self shine all your illusions away and all your doubts away. This is yourself, the child of God. You are as sinless as God. You have the strength of God within you. You have God's love forever. You are one self. It's given you to feel this self within you. Cast all your illusions out of the one man that is this self, the holy truth in you. Don't forget today. Don't forget. We need your help. Listen to this. We need your help. We need your help. We need your help. Okay. What do we need to do? Well, your little part. We need your little part. We gave you a little part. We figured you could do a little part. So we gave you a little part. Your little part in bringing happiness to all the world. Heaven, which the Course says is perfect happiness in reality, looks to you in confidence that you will try today. Share then its surety because it's yours. What do I need to do? What do I need to do, Holy Spirit? Be vigilant. How do I be vigilant, Holy Spirit? Do not forget today. Throughout the day, don't forget your goal. Repeat today's idea as frequently as possible. I am one self, united with my Creator. Say it as much as possible. Understand that every time you say it, now this is really deep, you all. Every time you say, I am one self, united with my Creator, somebody hears the voice of hope. Somebody feels the stirring of truth within their mind. Somebody feels the gentle rustling of wings of peace. Do you mean the reason why I decided to get on my spiritual path was because somebody was thinking this and that stirred the truth in me? That's exactly what happened. Every time we say it, that somebody on this planet started to have the urge to wake up. Your own acknowledgement that you are one self united with your Creator is a call to all the world to be one with you. Every time you say I am one self united with my Creator, you're saying all the world be one with me. All the world be one with me. All the world be one with me. To everyone you meet today, to everyone you meet today, be sure to give them the promise of today's idea. Tell that person, look at somebody and just repeat after me. Look at somebody and just hear me say it. You are one self with me.
You are one self with me.
United with our Creator in this self.
United with our Creator in this self.
I honor you because of what I am.
I honor you because of what I am.
And what God is.
And what God is.
Who loves us both as one.
Who loves us both as one.
Give it up, y'all. Give it up. You didn't do that much. You heard that much. You heard that much. Woo! All right, we're going to do one quick takeaway at the end. We're going to be out of here in a minute. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. I appreciate y'all sharing with my teaching ministry, and I appreciate y'all sharing with Unity Temple. It keeps us here. Thank you for investing in what you feel like invest in you. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, which I would surely appreciate, go to earlpurdy.com. Ah. See, when it's time for me to stop, I'm just getting warmed up.
You don't have
You
need
know
a
what I'm
longer day.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this for me, I feel like I've taken a shower. I feel like something has been cleansed and purified. And it will become more and more exciting to you. It will become more and more, the truth will turn you on to like everything else you used to do turned you on. And then it will in turn make everything else you used to do more fun and more innocent and more enjoyable. You don't lose when you focus on this. You can't lose with the stuff we use. Right? So I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions. Go to my website. It explains what I do. I'm here to support you in getting past blocks. You don't have to keep the same old pattern going that you know. You don't have to say it twice. There you go. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I've been having some incredible clarity sessions lately that have been blowing my mind. Y'all got so many incredible, mighty companions online that you would just love to get to know. You know, Ann, Cheryl, Nana, a bunch of them. We had a lot of people here today. Trish, all of you that are here live, I'm so glad to see how you communicate with each other and you keep sharing. It makes it more powerful. We literally have several hundred people that are watching us, and they're with us. We're not alone. We're not alone. Does anyone have at least one thing they'd like to use as a takeaway? One takeaway that they got today?
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
I had an awareness that when the Course talks about living in peace or having the peace of God, it's not about feeling peace all the time, but being at peace with what we're feeling.
But you heard it as, yeah, be at peace, because peace is an internal matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Every time that I remember that I am one self, that inspires somebody else to know that they have angel wings. That they're awakening.
That was deep.
That was so
That was
deep.
that he says, you know, there's somebody that feels the stirring of truth. Somebody
That
feels the
was
desire
so
to get on their
deep for
spiritual
me.
path. Because what made you want to get started? You know what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden I found myself being interested. He's saying that's why. There was somebody who's already trying to accept that idea. It's one mind. So it awakened you. And so who did we awaken today? Yeah, I know. And it might be the next boyfriend. You don't know that.
You know, for me, it encapsulates all in one message that the response to my warring mind, first of all, is to recognize that I'm very normal to have a warring mind.
Yes.
But that the response that I'm called to is to recognize that I am oneself, even within that warring mind. I am one self, one with my Creator.
I have one, even with my conflicts, even with my fears, even with my warring mind. Woo! Yes, brother.
Mistakes are for correction.
Mistakes are for correction and nothing else. No more of that punishing thing for your mistake.
I'm going through all sorts of stuff coming up, and I just want to say thank you for bringing it up, that it's coming up now for blessing and release, and that I have to be compassionate to myself, forgiving and allowing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Getting it is my gift. All right. So let's take a minute before we go out into the lab. Here we go. Those of you online, thank you. And so what we're going to end with is this. I am one self. Breathe. I am one self. 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 I am one self united with my Creator. 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 Now tell somebody you are one self. You are one self. You are one self. Say what? You are one self. We are one self united with our Creator. 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 Yeah. Appreciate y'all, guys. Woo! I want to invite you to go to my website and sign up for the contact list on my website so that when I do some online workshops that I plan on doing this fall that are going to be more advanced than what we're doing and deeper, you can be notified and you'll know about it. So go to my website, earlpurdy.com. Okay, you want to announce
I want your classes.
Absolutely. 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, The Way of Mastery is on Facebook Live, and Thursdays, Mountain Time, Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time is a Course of Love. And so there's a lot of support for everything that you want and what you're trying to do. And you deserve total joy, and God doesn't punish.
Amen.
Love doesn't punish. Don't pray to gods that don't exist. Thank you, mighty companions.
Yeah.
I love you. I appreciate you. Those of you online. Hugs are available.
Earl,